Hello Smash Com Tourney of Tourney fans and welcome to Series 3. Hands up, who's excited? Just me then. We've got a brand new colour scheme of orange and blue, and we've got this new border here, which means that it makes my face a bit smaller, so you don't have to have a whole screen of me just chatting to you. Anyway, we have got a few changes coming to this series, but we're not going to find that out today. Instead, today we're going to go through exactly who's been promoted and relegated to the Alpha and Beta Leagues, who's become All-Stars, and who's become pros of those teams. And obviously, my favourite part of all, which is the trades between teams to find out who goes where, because not every team's going to be balanced. Anyway, enough chit-chat. Let's get straight to it and crack on with the trading. Okay then guys, I have cut out the middleman and I've put in order all of the teams and how highly they were ranked. So for example, let's look at the Cosmo Vipers. You've got Sephiroth and Villager, who are both All-Stars, and obviously you can only have one All-Star in your team. So Villager will have to skedaddle over to another team. You've also got the third and fourth fighter, Meta Knight and Richter, who are both in blue, and that's because they're pros. And you can only have 2 pros in your team, which means that Villager cannot trade for another pro because there's a pro already in there. But we'll get to that. In 5th and 6th, as you can see, that has a blue border, which means that's the Beta League. So you've got the 5th and the 6th fighter, they're alright. And then you've got the 7th and the 8th, who are the 2 who will be relegated, which in this case is Fox and Wolf. Terrible for any of the Star Fox games. And obviously you can only have 2 fighters who get relegated because you need to draft 2 new fighters. So everyone must have 2 slots there. As you can see, that is not the case. So, checking my notes, because I had to make sure I was on top of things. Now, as you can see to the left of the screen, which is that way, it's very hard to look at yourself in reverse. As you can see from the left of the screen, it has the order where the teams come last series, so Series 2. So, the Red Robots 1, then the Vipers, Fuels, Dudes, Tex, Zords, Dogs, Limon. I'm not going to give you the full names because hopefully you've watched loads of this by now. But if you haven't, you can always check out Series 1 and 2. Anyway, back to business. So we're going to start with the Red Robots. And that's because the Red Robots were the top team, so you have to focus on them. Bit like the Cosmo Vipers, they have 2 All-Stars and they have 2 pros, which means that trading King Dedede, as King Dedede comes second and Byleth was top, King Dedede has to trade to another team for just a normal fighter, no pros, because the robots already have pros. Let's look at who hasn't got an All-Star, because that's who they have to trade with. So we've got the Gumtech and we've got the Cockadoodle Dudes. So the Red Robots get dibs on the best fighter from there that isn't a pro. So in this case, it's Shulk or Isabel. And I can tell you now, the answer is, it's Shulk, which is incredible because Shulk was the Grand Champion of Series 2. So Shulk will officially be trading from the Cockadoodle Dudes over to the Red Robots. Okay, so I have changed that over. So now that Shulk is in the Red Robots, now I did have to check the ranking of Shulk and Rob, because if Rob was ranked higher than Shulk, Shulk would have to go below. However, Shulk was ranked higher. Not by very much, but it's enough to keep him in the Alpha League. So the Red Robots now have Byleth as their All-Star, Peter and Dr. Mario as their pros, and Shulk as their 4th fighter in the Alpha League. And the Cockadoodle Dudes, they now have King Dedede as their All-Star, King K. Rool as their pro, and Steve as well. Ice Climbers were their old All-Star, and they've slipped into their 4th fighter. However, they are still in the Alpha League, which means we have one more team that's missing, and that is the Gumtech have not got a All-Star. That means that Villager is going to have to trade over to the Gumtech. As it's the same situation as the Red Robots, they already have 2 pros. So that means they're going to have to trade for the best fighter from the Gumtech, which is the one who got snubbed last time, and that is Isabel. So it sucks to be the Cosmo Vipers. So there you go, I've moved Villager over to the Gumtech and swapped him for Isabel, who goes into the Cosmo Vipers. She's also ranked higher than Mario, so Mario unfortunately goes down to the Beta League, whereas Isabel is in the Alpha League. And that's it for the All-Stars. So King Dedede goes to the Cockadoodle Dudes, Sephiroth is the Cosmo Vipers All-Star again, Dark Pit is the Energy Source again, Olimar Fuels again. Now Simon is the new Gorilla Limon All-Star. Well done, Simon. Villager goes over to the Gumtech as he traded just for Isabel. Byleth takes over the Red Robots and King Dedede has gone. And Ganondorf is still in charge of the Shroom Dogs. Next up is pros. So, as I said before, and as I've said many times, you can only have 2 pros per team. and first dibs always goes to the highest ranked team. So the Red Robots, they're all good. Then goes the Cosmo Vipers, they're all good. They've got 2. The Fuels, now this is the one that's mad because the Fuels have 4 pros. I can't believe the Fuels didn't win. They have 4 pros. They have Pyromithra, Little Mac, Robin and Sonic. Now the good news for Fuels fans is Pyromithra get to stay and so did Little Mac. Bad news is you have to lose Robin and Sonic. Madness, right? So we are going to decide where they go to. So the pros will have to swap for the best fighter from any team that need pros basically. So in this case you've got Gorilla Limon and you've got the Shroom Dogs. As it's 2 pros that needed to be swapped from the Fuels, we're going to start with the bottom one first. Because the Fuels got higher rank, they want to swap their worst fighter, in this case Sonic, for the best fighter. So deciding who's going to be the best is between Link and Mega Man. And I can tell you now, that is Link. So Sonic is going to go to Gorilla Limon and Link is going to go to the Fossil Fuels, which is quite a steal to be honest. Okay, so I've done that. I've put Sonic as a pro for the Limon. And I've put Link into the Fossil Fuels. Now, the one thing I won't do at the moment is sort out the ranking until afterwards because there could be some movement here. I'll explain that in a minute if you don't understand. So next up is Robin, in which case Robin has to go to Gorilla Limon again for Ike or to the Shroom Dogs for Mega Man. And I can tell you now, drum roll please, Robin is going to go to the Shroom Dogs for Mega Man as Mega Man is ranked higher than Ike. So there you go, Robin has gone to the Shroom Dogs and the Fossil Fuels have gained Mega Man. Now let's check out the Fossil Fuels ranking because you've got Mega Man and Link and Incineroar and I don't know who the highest ranked was out of those guys. So I've checked it and Link is ranked higher than Mega Man, which means Link is still in the Alpha League. But poor old Mega Man, who was a pro last series, goes down to the Beta League. That is a cool Beta League team though. Mega Man, Incineroar and Cloud. But you're wrong because Cloud is going to have to move in a minute, but we'll get to that. So we're almost done, but we have one obvious one left, and that is that the lowest pro from the Gumtech, which is Dark Samus, is going to have to go over to the Gorilla Limon for the highest fighter, which is Ike. So Ike is ranked higher than Zelda, so Ike remains in the Alpha League. I can't remember if he was in the Alpha League last series, but he's in the Alpha League now. And Dark Samus obviously goes over to Gorilla Limon. Now I do have to check the Limon and the Shroom Dogs to the order of their pros because I may have that wrong. The good news is I don't have it wrong. So Sonic and Dark Samus are the lowest 2 ranked pros, so they're ranked in 23rd and 24th, and the Limon have both of them. However, they had none, so get what you're given. And as for the Shroom Dogs, Sheik is higher ranked than Robin, so that seems to be 1 all-star in each team and 2 pros in each team. So the last thing we have to do now is to look at the relegated fighters and see if we can swap them all round so that every team has 2 spaces so that they can get 2 draft fighters. So this one acts in reverse. We have to start with the lowest ranked team and making sure that they're balanced. So that will be Gorilla Limon. So the Limon have to receive the worst fighter from one of the teams who need to get rid of their fighters. So as you can see there, the Cockadoodle Dudes have Lucario, the Fossil Fuels have Cloud, and the Red Robots have Duck Hunt. So one of those fighters has to go over to Gorilla Limon, whichever one is the worst. I did forget to do one thing, and that's to change all those red names to none. Or draft. I'll do draft. There you go. Everyone is now called draft, as promised. So the lowest ranked fighter, I can't remember if I said it just a minute ago, between Cloud, Lucario and Duck Hunt is Cloud. So Cloud is officially going to leave the Fossil Fuels and will move over to the Gorilla Limon. So there you go, the Fossil Fuels now have 2 draft spaces, so their team is complete, and so is Gorilla Limon, who've just got Cloud. And Cloud doesn't go in last place because he's actually ranked higher than DK. So DK is now the 6th fighter for the Gorilla Limon. Used to be the All-Star as well. Crazy. Okay, so most of the teams are sorted except for, and the screen's blocking it a little bit, those pesky Shroom Dogs. And that's because all of their beta team got knocked out, which is crazy because that's not happened in the 3 series we've done. So they will need 2 brand new fighters. Funnily enough, it's no surprise to who they are because I've already mentioned them, and that is the 2 teams who have Duck Hunt Duo and Lucario. So the Red Robots will gain a draft fighter and Duck Hunt Duo will go over to the Shroom Dogs, and so will the Cockadoodle do to lose Lucario to the Shroom Dogs. Okay, so I've sorted that out so that Duck Hunt is actually above Lucario, so Lucario is the Shroom Dogs' worst fighter. But there you have it, the teams for Series 3, minus the draft fighters. because that's not happened yet. That happens in Phase 2. But I'll go through it quickly. We've got the Cockadoodle Dudes with King Dedede, King K. Rool, Steve, Ice Climbers, Wii Fit Trainer, Piranha Plant, Cosmo Vipers with Sephiroth, Meta Knight, Richter, Isabelle, Mario, Rosalina and Luma. This is like a rap. The Energy Source, who had no changes, can I just add? No changes! Dark Pit, Banjo-Kazooie, Pac-Man, Pikachu, Marth, Palutena. Fossil Fuels with Olimar, Pyromithra, Little Mac, Link, Mega Man and Incineroar. That feels like a completely new team. Gorilla Limon also feels like a completely new team. They've got Sonic, Dark Samus, Toon Link, Cloud and DK. That actually, on paper, looks like a great team. The Gumtech have Villager, Pokemon Trainer, Kirby, Ike, Zelda, Lucina. The Red Robots, the winners of Series 2, have Byleth, Pichu and Mario, which aren't the best two pros, Shulk, the Grand Champion, Rob and Snake. Still holding on to the Red Robots there, Snake. And then the Shroom Dogs, who now have Ganondorf, Sheik, Robin, Bowser, Duck Hunt Duo, and Lucario. So, feels like they have improved somehow, but technically they've gained a lot of worse fighters. So that's it for Phase 1. Phase 1's very short. But that's it. All the trades. All I've got to do now is go through with you guys who got promoted and relegated. And again, I'll cover who went to what team. And then finish off the little video, little bit of finesse with the All-Stars and Pros in a massive introductory like video thing. There you'll get to see the teams and get to see their ranks, and I'll give a little comment. Nah, I probably won't give a little comment. I'll probably do that another time. But yeah, stick around and see that. As we've already gone through the trades, I'm going to hold off talking about them in depth, but if you did want to see these pictures, you can find them on my social media accounts, which is Facebook and Twitter. So like I've just said, King Dedede goes over to the Cockadoodle Dudes as their all-star. We've traded for Shulk, who was the Grand Champion of last series, so Shulk goes to the Red Robots. And Lucario is traded over to the Shroom Dogs for an empty draft space. Now, none of the Cockadoodle Dudes have been relegated to the Beta League, but we have King K. Rool and Steve, who have both made their way into the Alpha League, obviously with King K. Rool being the top fighter from Series 2. Cosmo Vipers always seem to be getting worse and worse, and this time they've lost Villager over to the Gumtech, who becomes the Gumtech All-Star, but they've gained Isabelle, who is notoriously one of my worst fighters, so I will biasly say, sucks to be the Cosmo Vipers. Now, with Isabelle moving over to the Cosmo Vipers, that means that Mario had to go down to the Beta League, as Isabelle is in the Alpha League and ranked higher than Mario. And we also see Richter, who was a brand new fighter last series, so made his way into the Alpha League. There were no trades for the Energy Source, which sucks when you're a fan of them, as am I. But on the flip side, we've lost Palutena and Marth, who are both our pros, and they've both gone down to the Beta League. However, we have two new replacement pros with Banjo and Kazooie and Pac-Man, who moved to the Alpha League, and we're showing good signs, so hopefully they'll do us some good. The Fossil Fuels, who didn't have many changes from Series 1 to 2, but from 2 to 3 have quite a lot going on. They've lost Sonic to the Gorilla Limon as well as Cloud, and they've lost Robin to the Shroom Dogs, but they've gained Link, Mega Man, and a draft fighter space. So, almost a brand new team for the Fossil Fuels, but they did have some shining lights with the likes of Pyromithra, brand new fighter who moved into the Alpha League from the Beta League. And with gaining Mega Man, he's moved down to the Beta League, but that is a very good Beta League fighter considering how good Mega Man is usually. Similar to the Fossil Fuels, we have Gorilla Limon, who also have gained quite a few new fighters in Sonic, Dark Samus from the Gumtech, who got that Crystal League win at the very last minute, which means that she crept her way into becoming a pro. And, as I've just said, Cloud as well. Does mean, however, they've lost Link and Ike. DK has finally made his way down into the Beta League from being an All-Star 2 series ago. Into the Alpha League, they've got Toon Link and Dark Samus. The Gumtech have gained two great fighters in Villager for their All-Star and Ike from the Gorilla Limon as well. And their fighters remained consistent except for Zelda, who drops to the Beta League. The Red Robots have remained even more consistent as they haven't dropped anyone to the Beta League or anyone has moved up to the Alpha League. Obviously they did have to lose King Dedede over to the Cockadoodle Dudes, but they have gained Shulk. They've also lost Duck Hunt Duo, which is baggage for them really. And finally the Shroom Dogs, who have had lots of changes, as have the Fossil Fuels and the Gorilla Limon. And that's Robin moving over as one of their pros and gaining 2 brand new fighters in Lucario and Duck Hunt Duo to fill up their Beta League spots. Lucario was obviously a pro last series, but after having a bit of a bad tournament has gone down to the Beta League, but could show good signs in there. So let's look at those top tier fighters for each and every team. We start with the Cockadoodle Dudes, who have King Dedede, King K. Rool and Steve, with King K. Rool and Steve both being in the B tier, so it's a very, very strong Alpha League team. We have the MVP Sephiroth still at the Cosmo Vipers and having Meta Knight and Richter. Richter is C tier, but I believe he could be a bit better than that. Once again though, the Cosmo Vipers looks like their team is a little bit weaker, but last series they still come second, so what do I know? The Energy Source still have Dark Pit, who just managed to hold on to be an all-star and have 2 new pros with Pac-Man and Banjo and Kazooie. The Fossil Fuel still have Olimo as their all-star and have gained Pyromithra as a pro, and Little Mac continues to be a pro. Pyromithra, probably one of the best new fighters coming into the league from last series. And a brand new roster for the Gorilla Limon, who are looking to not come last this series but do have the worst 2 pros, which is Sonic and Dark Samus. Now Sonic could be a bit of a curveball and improve, but Dark Samus didn't really have a good tournament and just managed to win that Crystal League, so that's what helped her, but we'll see how she stands in the Alpha League. Honourable mention to Simon, who only just become an all-star as he was ranked 8th, and that's the only nice thing I'm going to say about him for the rest of the series. The Gumtech have gained Villager, as Kirby couldn't continue to be the all-star, but Kirby is still a pro for the Gumtech as well as Pokemon Trainer. Pokemon Trainer being ranked 9th and Kirby being ranked 11th, so again, that's a very good Alpha League team for the Gumtech. Maybe the team to look out for this series. The Red Robots finally losing King Dedede have Byleth ranked number 2 as their all-star. Now again, the Red Robots won in Series 2, but they have 2 very weak pros, both in C tier, with Pichu in 19th and Dr. Mario in 21st. The Shroom Dogs still have Ganondorf, who was almost fighting for first place but ended up in 4th. And their 2 pros of Sheik, who didn't have a great tournament and was only there really because of the Crystal League win, and Robin as well, who has moved over from the Fossil Fuels. I've put there that Robin is in Tier B, but actually Robin's in Tier C, so it's not the best Alpha League team for the Shroom Dogs, but hopefully a lot of good changes coming for them. And there you have it, Phase 1 Series 3 is over, and all the teams are pretty much complete, bar the draft fighters, which is obviously what Phase 2 is all about. So hold on to your horses, because next week Phase 2 will be back and tournaments will be streamed once more. And as I said earlier in the video, there is going to be a lot of new changes coming to Smash Com Tourney of Tourneys that I cannot wait to tell you all about. But first, let's look forward to Phase 2, and I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for watching, I've been Energy Scott, and this is Smash Com Tourney of Tourneys.